My name is APEC. I'm your AI engineer expert over here, and I'm going to be reacting and commenting on some pretty famous YouTubers and channels because the whole idea is because I'm at the heart of Silicon Valley effectively. That's where I work, that's where I am a part of. The information I have is a lot more accurate than, let's say, other people outside of this space. And so I thought it would be a fun idea to sort of look at how the world is interpreting AI, especially with a lot of information floating around recently with, DeepSeek and just in general other AI models. So if anything, I just wanted this to be like a fun little thing for me to just react, I guess, to some interesting people. Charlie, if you don't know who he is, he's Moistcritical or Penguinz0. He has very interesting takes. I love watching him. So I'm just going to react to, what he has to say about AI and just give my opinion on I think how accurate or how inaccurate his information is. So yeah, let's get it started. And yeah, if you're new to the channel, my name is APEC. This is APEC Plus, the channel that is effectively about some tech news and sort of science, where we discuss about and go a little bit more in depth into sort of the details, because I have that knowledge and I think I would love to impart that sort of knowledge into the world out there, and hopefully you. So yeah, so please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me a ton to grow this channel, to sort of make quality videos like this, have this recording studio and run it and just give you really good content on a regular basis. So yeah, let's get into the video.
$500 billion. Does that number even mean anything to you? It is so astronomically high that it almost feels fake. It just sounds make-believe, like made-up doubloons. Now, me being the turbo genius I am, I can process that number. In fact, it also happens to be how many wrinkles are in my big brain. Check this out. I just passed one hand through the other, and you'll never be able to figure out how I did it.
I love it.
$500 billion also happens to be how much money NVIDIA just lost yesterday after DeepSeek slung its meat onto the scene. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company that, in many cases, is actually more sophisticated than current AI models that we use, and it's open source. So this puppy fucking exploded onto the scene, #1 in the App Store. Everyone's gushing grannies over it because it is unbelievable.
That's an interesting thing, especially I remember seeing it #1 on the App Store. It surprised me as well. I feel like, I don't know, I'm a little skeptical about that, because yes, it's free and stuff, but I mean, for it to overturn and overpass ChatGPT, which is pretty much the #1 on App Store, is very fishy, because I feel like you would effectively almost have to have transferred all of the users, so every user on ChatGPT, right, and then more to sort of effectively, because even now, a lot of the world is still is not using AI, especially ChatGPT. Like it's so I know it's surprising, but for a lot of you, because you use, I'm pretty certain, AI a lot. But if you talk to people who don't use AI, and there's a lot of them, you're gonna be surprised at how often like they don't just use it. And so that's why I feel like it's a little sussy. Maybe some bot buying, I don't know. There's some conspiracies. We've been talking about that a lot over here, and that's an interesting, I think, point to make. But yeah.
I learned about it a little bit last night on stream, but I've been doing a deep dive on it today. It is crazy, the scope of this, and just how far along this technology is already getting. NVIDIA wasn't the only one that got hit with the frying pan. Yesterday, a huge blow to the stock market occurred because of DeepSeek. It is, like, it can't be overstated just how big of a deal this technology is. And the fact that it's open source is also massive. Now, it's worth...
Those are two very important points. Yeah, it is very surprising how efficiently they were able to sort of get to the point they are today, especially training DeepSeek R1 and getting it to that phase. But it's also important to note that what was the second point that he made? Yeah, especially the fact that it's open source. Open source is a big deal, and we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. But let's continue watching the video.
As of making this video, NVIDIA stock has rebounded in a big way, like $260 billion. And it's probably only going to keep pumping, it seems.
Yeah, so he said that, but it actually has dipped again. I think I was looking at the stocks right before this recording this video, and I think he was talking about this. Yeah, I think he was talking about this spike up over here at probably on the January. So January of 27th is when DeepSeek and all that news just dropped, and I feel like on the 27th it just tanked. So as you can see, the stock price was 142, 24th, and opening day. So that's basically Monday. So because they close, and it just dropped to 117. So that's effectively was it $600 billion?
But I mean, it's like they're just grabbing Xbox 360 achievements at this point. Largest collapse in a single day and largest rebound in a single day, but it is still a huge deal. And
Yeah, so then it went up. I think what he's talking about is it dipped down and then it also went back up the next day. But it's been fluctuating, and it's sort of down here for the entire week basically. But yeah, I feel like it's not going to stay down here at all. Again, this is not because I'm giving you advice what to do, like to buy whatever. You can actually see I spent some money over here. Just it's $100, nothing too fancy. I'm not into stocks at all. I just like to look at what's happening in the world and learn about it. But yeah, the interesting thing is it's going to stay down here a little for a while. It's going to get up because NVIDIA is not going anywhere. We'll talk about that as well a lot, I think.
Took wasn't, for no reason, and the rebound isn't for no reason either. But I think NVIDIA is going to need to directly compete with DeepSeek now, because DeepSeek has proven you don't need to just keep buying top of the line equipment, more and more powerful chips to get this top of the line performance. You can get that top of the line performance without the biggest, baddest chips on the market.
There is truth to it, but there's also he said that NVIDIA would have to compete with DeepSeek. Well, that's not necessarily true because, NVIDIA is a GPU marketer, right? They sell GPUs, and it's hardware that they sell, which DeepSeek at the end of the day was using. Yes, granted, they weren't using the most powerful NVIDIA chips, but regardless, they were still using NVIDIA chips at the end of the day. And NVIDIA is not going to go anywhere. Like I was talking about it, their hardware is the best. That's kind of what everyone should be using and is using, right? And if anything, I feel like the recent news about the Blackwell line of chips, so that was their latest series of GPUs, or graphical processing units, these hardware machines that really allow us to train these models. They were announced, rather, because they're not out yet. They're going to be out like towards the end of 2025, but they're groundbreaking. I'm going to go into details for why, and I don't think just because they're expensive is necessarily a bad thing, because they're incredible. If anything, they're going to allow us to progress AI even faster. So even though they're more expensive, we get more done with them. So it necessarily doesn't mean that no one's going to stop actually buying NVIDIA stuff. So it's just like a temporary dip.
Yeah, almost $500 billion just got annihilated. It's like me in Path of Exile 2 when gambling, just losing all of my divine orbs. That just happened to NVIDIA. NVIDIA shares tanked 17%. The company lost a record $589 billion in market cap. Holy.
Yeah, that sounds like and it is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, $600 billion is a huge amount of money, but at the end of the day, again, this is stock market. This isn't hard cash. Again, this is not liquid assets that the company just lost. It's part of the stock market, which is again going to go up. It's not going to. I do not see a future where NVIDIA stock just stays at whatever level it is right now. That would be surprising. I would bet on that for sure. Don't buy it though. I'm not giving you advice again. Just letting you know that that's impossible. But it is a lot of money. Yes, they did lose a lot of money for a temporary period of time.
Wow. Oh man. Oh, their biggest shareholder went from 124 billion to 103 billion. He's in poverty like the rest of us. How's he gonna survive?
That's true.
Yikes.
Like he's struggling for sure.
Brokey. Oracle also got hit hard.
Yeah, I think a lot of them.
Start a GoFundMe for him? Yeah, we should. Chinese artificial intelligence company DeepSeek grabbing American attention and sending shockwaves through Wall Street due to its new tech, which some experts say rival that of OpenAI's ChatGPT. It's also catching investors off guard because of the low development costs for its API app, which Wedbush security analyst Dan Ives pegged at only $6 million. By comparison, OpenAI, Google, and other major U.S. companies are on track to invest a total of roughly $1 trillion in AI over the coming years. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, that's so I also fact checked all these numbers. It's roughly kind of that's what they're projecting. Again, these are projections, these are not real numbers, but yes, there is going to be a significant amount of investment in AI over the next couple years, and rightfully so, because now you can see like before it took $1 billion to make that model, and now we were able to sort of make something comparable in performance at only $6 million. That's a huge like difference in cost. If anything, that's going to help, the same $1 trillion being spent are now going to be spent better because things are being more efficient. Everything's just better. So I really don't think, yeah, but $1 trillion, these numbers really sound crazy, and of course, in the daily scheme of things, they are crazy. But I think, especially when you're talking about what we're developing, right? When space rockets were first being developed, people felt like a couple $1 billion was insane back in the early 2000s. Before that too, those numbers seemed incredible, but now $1 billion is nothing. And similarly, we're just kind of at the same stage, I believe, with AI too. And yeah, that's my take on it. I really don't think that's too high. Maybe because I'm here in the valley, and those numbers, I'm sort of farsighted into like thinking that $1 trillion is not too much, but I feel like it's not a lot. Like it seems reasonable. It's a lot, but it's reasonable for sure.
These numbers just don't even feel real
Yeah.
anymore. It just seems like actual nothing numbers, like fucking RuneScape gold.
Yeah, like it's funny because I'm certain like Charlie is is far richer than I am, and he still thinks that number is pretty high. But I guess it makes the reason is not because of like how rich we both individually are, but I think it's because we're seeing numbers, different sets of numbers on a daily basis. Over here, I see different numbers. He sees different. He's not exposed to how AI is being developed over here in the Silicon Valley. So maybe that's partly why I'm not as surprised by that value. And yeah, because I think also, yes, Trump recently announced in his, I believe it was OpenAI, Sam Altman was there, and I think two other people. They also announced $500 billion worth of venture investment into sort of AI in general. And if anything, those numbers sort of are pulling in the right sense, I feel so.
To briefly explain why DeepSeek has just kind of fucking cowabunged onto the scene here and just administered a clobbering to some of the big boys in the industry, it's because its claims of how much more efficient it is, and its claims that they can back up. It uses cheaper chips, less powerful chips, so it's able to have a performance that matches or even in some cases exceeds AI that we currently have while using much cheaper chips. So
that is true in terms of a couple things. Like, yeah, in benchmarks, DeepSeek R1 does beat like O1, for example, in a couple of benchmarks for sure. Real world performance really changes and depends on like what how you use it. First of all, I was just trying it. DeepSeek or their website is down right now, so you can't try the free model for now, for the time being. At least the R1 model, the most expensive model that they have. However, it that doesn't mean that again, like it needs to only run on like it can run on more efficient chips, yes, but if you then now you can have more R1 instances running, and so more people can now access R1. So yes, those are the benefits you get out of it. Yeah.
Obviously, people are looking at this as, oh, well, maybe we don't need the creme de la creme, top of the line GPUs from NVIDIA. If we're able to have DeepSeek here that is so efficient, utilizing cheaper chips.
Also, big point. It wasn't just them utilizing cheaper chips. The other reason they could utilize cheaper chips was also just an incredible team that DeepSeek had. They have an amazing, like, super smart team, I'm pretty certain, because they were able to, I read somewhere that they were able to make, like, they were programming at such a like deep level that they were effectively not even using the standard CUDA modules, or the CUDA modules themselves and the programming language necessary to sort of code that in, because they were sort of going a level deeper into the hardware and were writing their own uh, s- code for that, all that stuff. So I'm pretty certain that that's simply just genius engineering, right? So it was not just a combination of using cheaper models, but also having an extremely talented group of people working at this company and achieving what they did. So yeah. So credit
Site
so credit should go to, these people as well, the talent, not just hardware. Yeah.
claimed large-scale malicious attacks on its service, requiring it to temporarily limit new registrations. Existing users can log in as usual. It rivals OpenAI's ChatGPT and Meta's Llama 3.1. It was #1 on Apple App Store over the weekend. It's built the model using reduced capability chips from NVIDIA, which is impressive and thus has caused major agita for US tech stock. High praise. DeepSeek R1 is one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs I've ever seen, and as an open source, a profound gift to the world.
Yeah, so that quote, I'm pretty certain I saw that tweet, I think a couple of days ago. It was from Mark Andreessen. Mark Andreessen is one of the largest VCs in Silicon Valley over here. He's, I believe, the co-founder of A12Z, which is a huge venture capitalist fund basically over here, and started by Andreessen and Horowitz, basically. A2Z, that's where the name sort of comes from. And oh, it's A16Z. I'm so sorry. That's it's not A12. It's A16Z. Just actually quick fact check. A16Z. Yep, that's A16Z. So this is the company. They're venture capital in Silicon Valley. They effectively invest in lots of prominent companies, and so that's who this effective quote is from, basically. And so yeah, he's talking about how it's a profound gift to the world, and open source is pretty much why it's a big thing, and we'll get to that pretty soon.